Since Trump came to power, he has always regarded the BRICS as the international organization that gives him the most headache. As a group against hegemony, the BRICS has been promoting the trend of de-dollarization in recent years and plans to establish a closer economic cooperation system. However, Trump recently warned about the economic trends of the BRICS. He mentioned that although the BRICS are working to reduce their dependence on the US dollar, the possibility of BRICS replacing the US dollar is almost zero. He also said that if these countries do not accept the US's request, the United States will impose a 150% tariff on China, Russia, and other BRICS members. Interestingly, although Trump announced the tariff plan, some experts believe that the plan is likely to fail. Experts pointed out that this will trigger the reorganization of the global supply chain within 48 hours, and the most directly affected will be the overseas production bases of U.S. multinational companies. So why did the United States choose to impose such high tariffs on the BRICS? Will Trump's tariff plan succeed or fail? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. As we all know, the SWIFT payment system plays an extremely important role in international trade. As a global cooperative organization, SWIFT was jointly created by international banking peers to provide a unified channel, standard and language for fund payment and settlement. Its financial message network covers the world, connecting more than 11,000 banks, financial institutions, market infrastructure, and corporate users in more than 200 countries and regions. Through SWIFT, banks around the world are able to interconnect, allowing information and funds in cross-border payment transactions to be transmitted quickly and securely. This makes SWIFT one of the most important financial infrastructures in the world today, and almost all cross-border payments rely on this system. However, it is worth noting that although SWIFT is nominally a global organization, its rules and operating model are actually dominated by European and American countries. Therefore, the United States and Western countries often use SWIFT as a tool for economic sanctions to achieve political goals. For example, the United States has put pressure on Iran to restrict its nuclear program by restricting certain countries from using the SWIFT system, or imposed sanctions on North Korea to curb its nuclear weapons development. For some countries that lack international influence, they're often helpless in the face of such sanctions. However, after the outbreak of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict in 2022, the United States and its Western allies imposed a series of financial sanctions on Russia, including removing some Russian banks from the SWIFT system in an attempt to cut off Russia's financial ties with the international market. This incident made countries around the world realize that the dollar-dominated financial system can actually become a political tool. Because of this, more and more countries are beginning to consider the de-dollarization plan, and the BRICS countries are undoubtedly one of the biggest promoters of this change. According to my investigation, as early as 2022, Russia first proposed the BRICS currency plan at the BRICS summit at that time, and the plan envisioned the establishment of a unified BRICS settlement currency. Although this proposal has attracted widespread attention, it did not receive support from all member countries at the time. Therefore, the BRICS currency plan was not implemented smoothly. However, the idea of de-dollarization has aroused the interest of many BRICS countries and has become a focus of discussion. By 2023, the BRICS countries once again proposed a local currency settlement mechanism, planning to directly use their own currencies for settlement in international transactions. This plan has gained more recognition, but since further time is needed for verification, some BRICS countries have already begun to implement this plan. However, surprisingly, after Trump returned to power, he said that if the BRICS countries continue to promote de-dollarization, the United States will impose tariffs of up to 150% on these countries. So what is going on? As early as the end of 2024, Trump publicly threatened the BRICS countries through his own social platform, Real Social, asking them to promise to abandon the plan to create a new common currency and not to support any currency that replaces the US dollar. If the BRICS countries continue to insist on this idea, Trump said that they would impose a 100% tariff on them. In 2025, the Trump administration escalated the threat again, announcing that the tariff rate would be increased from 100% to 150%. He said that any BRICS country that mentioned destroying the US dollar would face a 150% tariff, and this approach would eventually lead to the self-disintegration of the BRICS. Interestingly, after Trump issued these threats, the BRICS countries did not discuss it. Instead, they responded in a sarcastic tone, saying that the United States did not even understand the specific situation, but was waiving tariff sanctions at random, which might eventually backfire. Everyone knows that the goal of the BRICS organization is to enhance the global influence of emerging economies and promote a more equitable global governance system through cooperation in multiple fields. Although the official goals of the BRICS countries do not explicitly mention de-dollarization, in recent years, as the United States has influenced the economies of other countries through financial sanctions and frequently used the dollar's interest rate hike and cut cycles to harvest global wealth, the BRICS countries have gradually increased their cooperation in reducing their dependence on the dollar and promoting local currency settlement. In other words, de-dollarization has, to some extent, become one of the goals jointly promoted by the BRICS countries. It should be pointed out that some economic experts have analyzed that the United States sanctions of 150% tariffs on BRICS countries are actually unworkable. Not only will this fail to curb the BRICS countries' determination to de-dollarize, but it may also backfire and cause greater global economic fluctuations. Of course, the remarks of American experts are not groundless. As we all know, China and Russia have been the main forces promoting de-dollarization, and therefore have become one of the key targets of U.S. tariffs and sanctions. However, the BRICS did discuss the establishment of a new payment system at the summit, but this is not abandoning the U.S. dollar, as Trump said. In fact, the BRICS' efforts to de-dollarize have made significant progress. According to data from the Russian Central Bank, in 2023, the proportion of local currency settlements among BRICS countries has reached 35%, which has doubled compared with 3 years ago. The Reserve Bank of India has also signed local currency swap agreements with 18 countries, and China's cross-border RMB settlement scale has exceeded 52 trillion yuan. These data reveal a fact: the hegemony of the US dollar is facing structural challenges, and Trump's tariff threat is actually more like a stress response to this established trend. In fact, the BRICS are gradually shifting their holdings to gold and other currencies in order to distance themselves from the US financial system. China has always encouraged the use of RMB in international payments, and Russia has also circumvented US sanctions by establishing its own payment system. According to the survey, since 2025, the appreciation of the RMB against the US dollar has reached 1,100 basis points, starting from the low point of a US dollar exchange rate of 7.36. At the same time, the US stock market has been in a downward trend. The Nasdaq index has fallen by more than 12% since the beginning of the year, and the US bond market has also seen a rare sell-off due to rising interest rates. According to Chinese media reports, by the end of 2024, the share of the RMB in global payments will once again exceed that of the Japanese yen, accounting for 3.89% of the total global payments, becoming the world's fourth largest payment currency. Although the RMB still has a certain gap from the US dollar, the euro, and the pound, the achievement of surpassing the Japanese yen essentially marks a change in the global payment landscape, and the complex political factors behind it cannot be ignored. In contrast, in the second month of fiscal year 2025, the U.S. government spending reached a record high of $584.2 billion, a year-on-year increase of 14%. From a 6-month moving average, The U.S. government spending also reached $586 billion, second only to the crazy spending during the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, U.S. tax revenue was $301.8 billion, which was 9.8% higher than the $274.8 billion in the same period last year. But it was obviously still far lower than the growth in spending. It can be seen that the U.S. dollar deficit problem is getting worse and has become a potential risk to the U.S. economy. The Wall Street Journal reported on December 4th last year that although the U.S. dollar is far from losing its dominance, the use of the U.S. dollar in global trade financing has indeed declined with the rise of the RMB. At the same time, some central banks have also begun to transfer part of their foreign exchange reserves from the U.S. dollar to gold and other foreign currencies. This change is actually a friendly shore outsourcing strategy in geopolitics, and the risk of sanctions is undoubtedly a factor driving this change. In addition, everyone knows that as the first echelon of the global South, the BRICS countries have continued to expand cooperation in recent years. In August 2023, the leaders of the BRICS countries made the decision to expand the BRICS at the 15th meeting. By January 2024, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Ethiopia will officially become new members of the BRICS. By 2025, another 9 countries will officially become BRICS partner countries. At the previous Kazan summit, Russia has invited 13 countries. So far, 9 countries, including Belarus, Bolivia, and Indonesia, have clearly expressed their willingness to become BRICS partner countries. It is expected that another 4 countries will respond soon. Today, with the continuous increase in the number of BRICS member countries, the economic scale of this organization is also growing. The oil and gas exports of countries such as Saudi Arabia and Russia account for almost 80% of the global market. In this case, if the United States continues to impose 100% tariffs on these countries, it will only make these countries further away from the United States, leading to the deterioration of bilateral relations. This situation has accelerated the process of the BRICS countries to promote a unified currency, and the influence of the U.S. dollar will become increasingly weakened. According to data, the big BRICS, after the expansion, accounts for nearly half of the global population and 1/5 of the global trade volume. Calculated by purchasing power parity, the total economic volume of the BRICS countries has surpassed the Group of 7. After the expansion, the share of the big BRICS in the global GDP has also increased from 31.6% to 35.6%. And the share of BRICS in the world's crude oil exports has increased significantly from 15% to 36%. It can be seen that Trump's threats have failed, and the BRICS countries are changing the global economic landscape in their own way. To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.